play. I was doing a lot of crazy stuff, and then I got Lord of the Rings, and I go down there, and there's a lot of waiting, like really like you have to be really patient. So I read through the Lord of the Rings books 3 times while we were filming, but I also got a whole stack of books on filmmakers, historiography, methodology, film theory and criticism, biographies, executive biographies, directors' biographies, and I, like, every day or every 2 days I was reading another book, the Oliver Stone book, the Kid Stays in the Picture, those kind of things. So I noticed, like, I read the most when there's intent. I don't really read for leisure as much, which is kind of sad. Really, but it just depends. That's the biggest fly I've ever seen. That's Jeff Goldblum. Hello, Jeff Goldblum. They ever going to do another sequel? Anyhow, so it's a great question. What do you read?
I read anything I can pick up. I really like poetry, things like that.
Poetry? Me too. My daughter's into poetry, so we're always reading stuff. I mean, Shakespeare. But I learned that there's a McAllen Public Library that is second to none in the world. The architecture for the McAllen Library, they showed me pictures of it. Awesome. I was like, so they still have libraries? Yeah. Are there books in it, or it's all computers? Like, no, there's 300,000 books. Like, really? That you can touch and open the pages? It's like, what's a VHS? I don't know, there's just like, time is passing. But anyhow, so, good question. Yes, young lady. Oh, you're just waving yourself. Okay, over where? Over, okay.
I want to ask him about Dax's
A good question. She asks about Rudy, our athletic sister over here. Asks about what was it like depicting a true story. You know, Rudy would not have gotten made if it wasn't for Rudy himself. You know, a lot of times you can have a movie about Abraham Lincoln and it's historical. But Rudy was actually around, and he was working with the studio, trying to get them to agree to fund the movie, working with the University of Notre Dame to get them to approve filming on the campus, working with the directors, you know, he was really involved in getting his story told. So it was almost like a partnership. You know, I showed up and I was ready to go. The screenplay was fantastic. And I really felt like my personality, my life really was reflected in the character. So I felt like I was just bringing myself to the movie. And yet at the same time, there were, you know, I hadn't experienced death up close and personally the way Rudy had with his friend. You know, and some of his mentors, the way that he depicted some of the, like, the relationship with the Charles Dutton character, the groundskeeper and stuff. So I would talk to him sometimes about, you know, what he was thinking and feeling during that. And you definitely have a sense of responsibility, not just to the person, but to Notre Dame. You knew you were making a movie that was going to be seen by a lot of people, and you'd like to, you know, Notre Dame's a very special place, and it's a very serious academic place, and you'd hate to do something that was subpar and would reflect badly on the university. So there's some responsibility there. And I've played other, you know, true stories. The interesting thing about true stories is there's always embellishment. There's, you know, in Rudy, because we live in a modern era, when the movie came out, he published on a website all of the things in the movie that were sort of not historically accurate, that were, you know, embellishments for the movie. And some people, it really upsets them, because they think you can't say based on a true story or it's a true story and then change some things. For example, Dan Devine, the coach that wouldn't let Rudy play and then ultimately relented when the players and the fans stuck up for him and wanted him to play for a second. And he called into a radio station when Rudy was promoting the movie, and he said, if any player would have put their jersey on my desk, they never would have seen it again. You know, and yet the movie was, that gesture, that symbolic gesture in the movie was representing something that was in the heart of a lot of his teammates. But no, that never happened. So do you now think less of the story because of that? It's like, it's a movie. It's a movie. Documentaries try and get a little bit closer at the pure truth of it. But what you try and capture is hopefully, the essence of something. You know, the spirit of what something's about. So I hope that answers your question. Somebody in the back. Yeah, stand up with the glasses on. I see you. Yeah. There you go. Orc armor. He's saying that when Merry and Pippin come back, they have the armor from, if I'm hearing you correctly, from the different battles that they were in and the people that they were fighting with. And you're asking what armor I had or what Sam had? What armor do I wish I had? Well, those helmets look kind of silly. Do you know why the helmets are shaped like that? Kind of conical, kind of pointed? Yeah, so if a sword comes down, it kind of glances off. But that's cool in battle, but like when you're just looking at it, it's like, oh, it's a chess piece. It's like a bishop. No, I was more than happy to put on our very claustrophobic leather and chainmail orc armor. I thought that made us look kind of tough. I was happy with that. Yeah.
What's your favorite musical?
My favorite musical? Ooh, I love musicals. Aida? Aida's a good one. My mom, who we just talked to, was in Wicked. She played Morrible the Horrible. Yeah. I love them all. I like the Disney ones. I like them all. Annie and Oliver and, you know, all the classics. Should we sing for one? I don't know. Consider yourself at home. Consider yourself a part of the furniture we've taken to you. So strong, it's clear we're going to get along. My dad played Fagin on Broadway. Take a tip from Bill Sykes. He can whip what he likes. I'm afraid these don't grow on trees. You've got to pick a pocket or two, boy. You've got to pick a pocket or two. But I'm like, I think I'm basically like a 14-year-old girl. Thank you. Oh, you guys. Oh, no. Come on. Running in McAllen today, I'm like, home on the range. The little young man in the blue, I think it's a young man. Yeah. Superman, sorry. Clark. Translate. How many times? Oh, that is one of the funniest. I laughed so hard in that thing. There's a scene in 50 First Dates where I think Adam Sandler's character comes back to the house where where the Whitmores live, right? Doug Whitmore and the dad and Drew Barrymore. And it's pouring rain. It's a very emotional scene. And the dad opens the door and you see my character, Doug, doing sit-ups on the chandelier. And he's doing it. And it's kind of like in the background. The movie isn't paying attention. And then all of a sudden it's like, and like he falls down. That stunt, I didn't do that. The stunt guy did that. And that was like a good 8-foot drop on his back onto a coffee table. And he did it like 5 or 6 times. It was so impressive. So impressive. And I laughed. Every time I saw it, I laughed. I kept wanting to show it over and over again, like in the movie. You can only see it once and it goes by really quickly, but yeah.
Tengo una pregunta.
Sí.
Aparte de tu carrera como actor, ¿qué es lo que más te apasiona en la vida? ¿O cuál es tu pasatiempo favorito?
Otro de...
Besides being
Besides my career, yeah. Me gusta correr. Corriendo. Am I a runner? Me gusta correr. Corredor, sí. Sí, corrí en el Boston Marathon. 2 semanas pesado. Sí. It's my 10 marathons. So, yeah, I run a lot. That's my passion. Sí. Y mi familia también. Mi familia, sí. Yeah. Hay muchas cosas. Me gustan muchas cosas.
Me gusta que hables español, fíjate.
Gracias.
Te felicito mucho. Gracias.
Yo también. Okay, yes, Scarecrow.
Close enough, Android 17 from Dragon Ball Z. But anyways, I know this is kind of a silly question. What movie did you first come in, and what was your favorite movie?
What movie was I first acting in?
Yes.
And what was my favorite movie that I was in?
Yes.
Favorites are really hard. The first feature film that I acted in was Los Goonies. That was a great way to start off a career. The Steven Spielberg, Dick Donner movie that grossed $100 million. You know, after that I'm like, isn't that what it's supposed to always be like? And then you do a low-budget independent film, you're like, where are all the people? One of my favorite movies that I've done is called The Color of Magic. There's, I always do this. You guys in for a little reading? You want to hear something? I think you do. I think you do. Uh-oh. Okay, hopefully I get access in here. Color of
Phone ringing.
Magic. Prologue. Okay. Looks like it's coming up. Okay, so Terry Pratchett is an author who just passed away a few weeks ago. He was a wonderful, wonderful, brilliant author. I think he published like 70 books. He's an Englishman. Behind J.K. Rowling and Tolkien and the Bible, he is one of the most prolific English authors. And not a lot of people in America know who he is, but he did something called the Discworld series. The Discworld series. And it's this wonderful world. And I think he did 18 books in the Discworld series. And one of the best characters he created was called Two Flower. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flowers. Two Flower. And he was the first tourist to the Discworld. Flower print shirt, hat, glasses. He has a picture box camera. And when he wants to take a photo of something, where are you sitting? Do you have a normal seat? Because you don't have to stand up if you want to. Yeah.
I just want.
You just, okay, well, I want you to be comfortable. I'm going to read this and then you can ask your question. But if you want to stand there, you can stand there. Okay. Anyhow, he points his picture box at a subject and he rotates the lever, and then inside a little imp starts drawing the picture. And if he runs out of colors, he's like, I need more cyan. He's got a luggage that has 100 legs, and when he walks over here, the luggage chases after him. It's kind of like his Samwise, and if he opens it up, it's full of gold, and anything else you could possibly want is in there, and he doesn't pay any attention to it, because gold is like mud where he's from. But anyhow, this is the prologue. It takes about 3 minutes to read, but I like turning people onto it, so... See if I can get it going right here. Why does it do that? Okay. In a distant and second-hand set of dimensions, in an astral plane that was never meant to fly, the curling star mists waver and part. See, the great Atuin. The turtle comes, swimming slowly through the interstellar gulf, hydrogen frost on his ponderous limbs, his huge and ancient shell pocked with meteor craters. Through sea-sized eyes that are crusted with rheum and asteroid dust, he stares fixedly at the destination. In a brain bigger than a city, with geological slowness, he thinks only of the weight. Most of the weight is, of course, accounted for by Borrelia, Tubul, and Great Typhon, and Jerakin, the 4 giant elephants, upon whose broad and star-tanned shoulders the disk of the world rests, garlanded by long waterfalls at its vast circumference and domed by the baby blue vault of heaven. Astropsychology has been as yet unable to establish what they think about. The great turtle was a mere hypothesis until the day the small and secretive kingdom of Krull, whose rimmost mountains project out over the rimfall, built a gantry and pulley system at the tip of the most precipitous crag and lowered several observers over the edge in a quartz-windowed brass vessel to peer through the mist veils. The early astrozoologists, hauled back from their long dangle by enormous teams of slaves, were able to bring back much information about the shape and nature of Atuin and the elephants. But this did not resolve fundamental questions about the nature and purpose of the universe. For example, what was Atuin's actual sex? This vital question, said the astrozoologists, with mounting authority, would not be answered until a larger and more powerful gantry could be constructed for a deep space vessel. In the meantime, they could only speculate about the revealed cosmos. There was, for example, the theory that Atuin had come from nowhere and would continue at a uniform crawl or steady gait into nowhere for all time. This theory was popular among academics. An alternative, favored by those of a religious persuasion, was that Atuin was crawling from the birthplace to the time of mating, as were all the stars in the sky, which were obviously also carried by giant turtles. When they arrived, they would briefly and passionately mate for the first and only time, and from that fiery union, new turtles would be born to carry new patterns of worlds. This was known as the Big Bang hypothesis. Right?
Yeah!
Got got to check out the Discworld series. Anyway, that's one of my favorite things that I've ever done. Where, there, you go. Yeah.
I was going to ask this, when that line about when Rudy goes out and Frank yells, he's so little.
He's so little.
Was that part, was that like actually a script? Did he actually just say that?
You know, it sort of feels like an ad lib, doesn't it? Yeah, it feels like an ad lib. I don't know, but when I watch the movie, who's the wild man now? That's when I always cry. I always cry. And the other thing is, if you watch Rudy with the sound off, it's like no big deal. The score, the original score that Jerry Goldsmith made, the music is, you can listen to it just by itself and it just brings up so much emotion in you. It's one of the greatest film scores ever composed. So thank you for that question. I'm excited we got little people asking questions now. Yes? Uh-oh, can you lift her up? Oh, yeah. You can lift, okay. Uh-oh, scary.
Can we hug you?
How could I ever say no to that? All right, hold on. Wait, are you going home soon? Can we hug right after? Oh, I can't, this can't wait.
Okay, your question.
Did you like doing video games movie, and what was your favorite part in Rudy?
Video Games the Movie, I love doing it. That first 6 minutes of Video Games the Movie documentary, which I got to narrate, is one of the most nostalgic, wonderful, it's just so, I wish we could show it right now. Every game, you just realize, like, we're all connected. If you ever think like we're so different from one another, watch the first 6 minutes of that movie and watch how every single person is like, oh, I used to play Atari, oh, Pac-Man, oh, Donkey Kong, oh, whatever. And then it just goes on and on and on, and every generation has some new thing. So I loved being a part of that movie, and there's actually a series underway that's based on that. The people who made that movie are doing. So thank you for that question. And my favorite part of making Rudy, well, see, I had just gotten married, and my wife lived, she was born and raised 20 minutes